module, and we discussed about text, how to represent text, the two types of text representation, that is digital representation and visual representation. That is what we had discussed in the previous session. So we had discussed about the different encodings, ASCII, extended ASCII, EBCDIC, Unicode, that is about the digital representation. And then we had discussed certain aspects like typeface, font, pitch, all those things, which is related to the visual representation, right? Now today we'll be having a look at some of the text file formats, okay? So we'll be studying the text file format RTF in detail. Okay, we'll be having a look at what are the different text file formats and particularly RTF in detail. And we'll also be looking at the image file format TIFF, okay, tagged image file format. That is what we are going to see today, the different text file formats, in particular RTF and the image file format TIFF, okay. Before we see the different text file formats, let's try to understand what is meant by a file format. Okay. So what is a file format? A file format means it's a way information is encoded for storage in a computer file. So that means basically we are talking about how bits are used to encode information. Whether your information is audio, video or textual information, how are you representing that information using bits? That is what is referred to as a file format. Okay. So file format means how information is encoded for storage in a computer. And we know that in a computer information is stored in terms of zeros and ones. So how we are storing all this information in terms of zeros and ones, that is what is meant by a file format. Now basically there are two types of file format. One is proprietary file format and the other is free file format. Or in other words, you can also refer them to as unpublished file format or open file format. Does anyone know what is meant by proprietary file format? Does anybody know what is meant by proprietary file formats, or can you give me an example for proprietary file format?
It's like maybe it is like license or you have to purchase that first, something like that.
Right. So what is, you're right, Dhruvin. So what is proprietary? Proprietary means kind of licensed, okay? So a format, a file format is said to be proprietary file format if it is owned by a company or an organization, a private company or an organization. And basically they have kept it a trade secret. They've kept the file format as a trade secret. That means it is licensed. If you want to decode and interpret that file format, you'll require the software or hardware that the company provides. That is what is meant by proprietary format. So proprietary file format is a file format that is owned by a company, organization or an individual, and that is kind of kept a trade secret, that is basically licensed. So if you want to interpret that file format, you will require maybe you will have to purchase or the license of a particular software or hardware that the company itself has developed. Okay, so that is what is meant by proprietary format. So in the case of proprietary format, they'll have a what is referred to as non-disclosure agreement. That means when you get a license copy, you will not be able to share it. You will have a non-disclosure agreement. It's basically a trade secret. If you want to use that particular software or file format, you will have to purchase it. That is what is meant by proprietary, the word meaning of proprietary. So file formats can be of two types. It could be a proprietary format or it could be an open format. Okay. So a proprietary format is something which is kept as a trade secret and which you can purchase and use after obtaining the license to that format. In contrast, what is meant by an open format? An open format is a format that is published and free to be used by everybody. So basically it is made available to everyone free of cost. That is, there's no monetary factor which is involved. It is available, published and available to everyone free of cost. That is what is referred to as an open format. And normally, open formats are owned by organizations. You know, there are standard organizations, right? Like IETF, ISO, all those are standard organizations. So open file formats are not owned by a private company or an organization or an individual, but generally they are owned by standards organizations like ISO, IETF, ICNA, etc. Okay, and they are free and can be used by anyone without any monetary cost. So that is what is meant by open file format. An open file format is also referred to as a free file format. So basically, if your file format does not have any restriction like copyright, patent, trademark, or restrictions because of by license, then your file format is said to be a free file format or open file format. Okay. So these are two primary types of file format. So any file format will fall into these two categories. It might be a proprietary file format or it might be an open file format. Okay. So there are different types of file format. Every media type will have some associated file formats. So if it is image, audio, video or text, whatever kind of media it is, multimedia content it is, there will be some file format associated with it which specifies how information is stored in terms of zeros and ones. So today we'll be having a look at some of the text file formats. Okay. So what is meant by a text file format? We know that a file format means how information is stored in terms of zeros and ones. Now when it comes to text file format, we are talking about how text characters are represented in terms of zeros and ones. That means your file format will have bytes of information, right? How those bytes represent the textual characters which belong to a particular character set. That is what is meant by a text format. So basically it means how you are representing text information inside a computer in terms of zeros and ones. So there will be a mapping between a binary number to every character of your character set. So if you are representing A will have a corresponding encoding or a binary number associated with it. We had spoken in detail about that encoding schemes in the previous session, right? We had spoken about ASCII, extended ASCII, EBCDIC and Unicode format. So all those are what is referred to as encodings. So text formats also have an associated encoding scheme like ASCII, EBCDIC or Unicode. So if you are representing information in any other language other than English, then probably you might be using the Unicode encoding format. So text file format means nothing, how you are representing the textual characters inside a computer. What kind of encoding scheme you are using. That is what is meant by text file format. Now let's see. There are two different types of text formats. Text formats can be classified into two different types. One is fixed format and the other is separated format. Okay. Fixed width format means, as the name specifies, whenever you are writing or entering some textual data inside a computer, it will go into a separate column. Every text or every string will go into a separate column, or it is, in other words, delimited by width. Every textual content that you are entering is limited or separated by a column of fixed width. That is what is meant by fixed width file format. And if you're using a separated format, then your character sequence is separated by some other character other than a fixed width. You might be separating it using tabs, commas, or spaces. In that case, your textual file format is said to be of separated format. I'll just show you an example so that this concept is clear. Okay. Whatever, see, you are entering your attendance in the chat, right? When I'm downloading that attendance, it comes as a text file. So whatever you are entering your roll number followed by name in the chat window, right? And I'm downloading it. It's a text file actually which I'm downloading. I'll just show you the format of that text file. Okay. And then if I want to convert that text file into Excel file, I'll just show you how I'm doing that. So I'm just opening a random session. So this is how the downloaded chat window, the information in the chat window looks like. So you can see here, this is basically fixed bit format, okay? So you can see here, this is the time at which you are sending the chat, sending your attendance. Then you have this word from, which is there in a column. Then you have this content, which is there in another column. So this is basically fixed bit format, okay? Or now if I want, so this is the chat which I've downloaded from the chat window. Now if I want to open it in an Excel file, I'll just show you how I'm doing that. Are you able to see this?
Yes.
See, I'm trying to convert this chat window into an Excel file, okay? At that time, your text editor will ask whether I want to convert it in a fixed bit format or in a separated format. I'll just show you how it works. So you can see this text import wizard. I want to convert text into Excel file. So this text, I'm using this text import wizard. At this point of time, you can see here, choose the file type that best describes your data. So you can see two different file types over here, delimited format and fixed bit format. Now, if I choose fixed format, what will happen is, this is already in fixed bit format. You can see here the content separated by using lines. So this is basically fixed bit format. This is of fixed bit. This from is of fixed bit. Then this is, even though it is not of fixed bit, but this whole content comes in another column. So this is basically a fixed bit format. Now if I go back and choose the delimited format is same as the separated format. Okay. So separated format means what? Instead of having fixed with columns, our content is separated by means of some character, some space or tabs or commas or character. Now if I'm choosing this delimited format, and then if I can choose what kind of delimiter I want to use to separate out the contents. If I choose tab, then the contents get segregated based on wherever tab is, that will get segregated into one column. If I choose semicolon, then if there is semicolon in my content, there it will get segregated. Now, if I want to extract your attendance, what I'll be doing is, I want to segregate this portion, that is where your roll number and name is. Then what I'll be doing is, I'll be choosing to segregate it, separate it based on this column symbol. Then what will happen? I'll get the content like this. I'll get the content separated out like this. So basically, I'm able to extract and sort the attendance based on roll numbers. So in your text files normally support these two kind of formats. That is, one is a fixed bit format and the other is the separated format. Okay, so these are two different types of text file formats, fixed width format and separated format. So fixed width means it is basically separated by fixed width columns, and separated format means you will be able to segregate the content based on some other entity like commas, tabs, columns, or any such character. Okay, so normally text formats support these two types of formats, fixed width and separated formats. Now let's look at the common text file formats that we use. As you all know, doc or docx, doc file, right? That is one text file format, very commonly used. RTF or rich text format is another commonly used text file format. Then we have other text file formats like TXT, HTML, PDF, zip. All this come under the classification or different types of text file formats. Now let's have a look at each of this in briefly, but we have to study RTF in a little detail, okay, as that is specifically mentioned in your syllabus. Now first let's have a look at doc or docx. These are all things which you know. So we know that doc means we are talking about Microsoft's Word document or Word file format. So we know that in the case of Microsoft Word, when we are preparing or creating or editing a Microsoft Word document, we'll be saving it with an extension .doc, right? So that .doc is our file name extension which we use to save our text file if you are creating it in Microsoft Word. And we know that Microsoft Word also supports, apart from plain text, it also supports special formatting, right? We can do formatting on our textual content, like we can write it in capital, we can write it in small letters, we can make it bold, italic, we can change the color, we can change the typeface. Also, we can change the layout of the page, margin, indentation. So there's a lot of formatting features also available when it comes to Microsoft Doc format. And this doc format was superseded in 2007 by Word 2007. Now it is referred to as .docx format. And what is this X in docx? X stands for XML. That means basically this was done so that our textual content, whatever our text content is, that can be integrated on internet applications also, so that our text file or text content is compatible with internet applications. That is why this format was revised and the docx format came into existence. So X stands for XML, Extensible Markup Language. So this docx file format, we cannot convert a doc file format, we can convert a doc file format into docx file format. That means there is that compatibility that exists. So Word 2007 can read documents and is able to save new documents in docx format when using the save as option. So using the save as option, you can convert the doc file format into docx file format. So these are things which you know. So that's one format that we normally use. The other file format is txt, right? If you're creating some content on the Notepad editor, then you know that the file extension would be .txt, right? So Notepad is normally when we create content on Notepad, by default our file format is .txt. And the drawback of txt is that it is not associated with any formatting information, right? Suppose if you want to remove the formatting content which you have applied to some textual content, or you're copying some content from the internet and you don't want to retain that formatting, what we'll do, we'll be pasting it in a Notepad, right, to get rid of that formatting information. So one feature of this txt file is that it is not associated with any formatting information like fonts, page size, or any kind of formatting information. And when it comes to txt file format, again the encoding that we use is ASCII encoding, or you may use an encoding like UTF-8. UTF means, we know that Unicode Transformation Format. If you want to represent information which is in any other language other than English, you will be using Unicode file format. So ASCII is also a subset of Unicode. We had discussed that in the previous session. So the encoding that is used by txt file format is either ASCII, UTF, or you can use another encoding scheme which is ISO 88591. So from the name, it is obvious that it is an open file format, right? Open file formats are those that are given out by standard organizations like ISO, IETF, etc. We know that TXT is portable across all computer systems. It can be read, it can be modified by huge range of software applications, right? We know that it is freely available and it is standardized. So these are things which you know. So another file format, text file format is TXT. HTML, again you know, HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. When you are using textual information or textual content on the internet, we'll be using this markup language called as HTML. So you know the file extension of HTML files is .htm or .html, and we can view such files in internet browsers, any internet browser. And we also know that when it comes to HTML, it's not just plain text, there is also formatting information associated, right? How do we represent the formatting information when it comes to HTML? We have markups, right? We'll be using tags. we'll be using tags like H1, H2. I think you have started working on HTML files in WDL, so you'll be familiar with this. So when it comes to HTML, it is a file format, text file format, which also supports formatting information. And for representing that formatting information, we'll be using different varieties of anchors and tags. So again, this format is a free file format, which is governed by a public body. You can view the content on any web browsers. You can also view the content on any rich text editors, any word processors, or HTML editors. So this is another text file format. PDF, another one. You know, it is a proprietary format which is owned by Adobe. So you know that you have to get the license if you want to use the PDF, or if you want to convert, or if you want to perform operations on PDF, you will have to actually acquire a license from Adobe. So it is a proprietary file format. So even though it is proprietary, the encoding details are freely available in the case of PDF. And we know that PDF documents can be viewed, it can be printed on irrespective of whatever platform you are using. There is just like RTF, you have formatting information. You can associate PDF files with formatting information like page size, alignment, page layout, etc. And one feature of PDF documents is that it cannot be readily edited. These are things which you are already familiar with. Another text file format is zip. So the extension is .zip. Normally we use a WinZip software when you want to unzip or zip a particular file. So WinZip or zip files are not only associated with text files, it can be associated with other file formats also, but it comes under the category of text file format. It also comes under the category of text file format. So these are file formats which you're already familiar with, right? Doc, TXT, HTML, PDF, zip, all these are file formats, text file formats you're familiar with. Now we'll have to discuss a little RTF in a little more detail, okay? So RTF stands for rich text format. Do you know when we started using this RTF, or why we started using this file format which is called as RTF? Initially we were using TXT file format, but later on we started, that is in the this file format RTF came about in the 1980s, and again this is a Microsoft product. So this is a Microsoft product, RTF. Now one of the main objective of Microsoft to come up with this file format called rich text format was to allow interoperability. Okay, that was the objective of coming up with this file format. It was later on it discontinued in 2008, but till then it was very popularly used, this file format called RTF. Even now the almost all the applications are compatible with RTF, even though it is discontinued. So the main objective of coming up with this format is interoperability. That means you will be able to move documents, RTF text documents, back and forth between different operating systems, different applications, etc. That is what is meant by interoperability or portability. So RTF files have this extension .rtf, and they have RTF text files not only contain plain text, but along with plain text, they also contain formatting information, a lot of formatting information. But there are some restrictions to the formatting information also. For instance, one drawback is that with RTF file format, you cannot create columns, you cannot add pages, add page numbers, you cannot add headers or footers. These are some restrictions on formatting which you can do with RTF, but otherwise it supports all other formatting features. So RTF is a file format that's along with plain text, you will be able to do or store a lot of formatting information along with your textual content. So we know that when we create documents using WordPad, the default file format is rich text format. RTF. And as I said, the objective of coming up with this format was to allow interoperability, that is easy transfer between applications. Now, you know that when you create a particular document in a native program, for instance, suppose you are creating a text document in AppleWorks, that you might not be able to open that document in Lotus Word Pro, or vice versa. You're creating a document in Lotus Word Pro, you might not be able to open that in AppleWorks or in Microsoft Word. That is what is meant by this problem of interoperability. So if you want your document which you have created on one text editor to open on another text editor, that means your software or your file supports interoperability. So that was the objective of coming up with this file format called RTF. So RTF is compatible across all platforms, all devices, and all operating systems. Okay. And for this, RTF uses the ANSI, PC8, Macintosh, or IBM PC character set. So in order to facilitate this interoperability, RTF supports all these character sets. Okay. So in that way, RTF supports interoperability. So you will be able to move your application from one system to another system without your formatting information being lost. So all your formatting that you have done to your textual content will be retained, even if you have moved your document to another operating system or another input-output device. So now we have to see what are the different kinds of formatting information that is stored by or retained by rich text format. Okay. So we are going to see what are the format information that is carried across in RTF file. There are some information which gets lost also, some amount of formatting information gets lost also, but majority of the formatting that you have done to your textual content gets retained across when you move your document across platforms. So we are going to see what are the contents that get retained or that are carried across. The first content that is carried across is what character set you are using. That means basically whether you are using ASCII encoding or you're using EBCDIC encoding or you're using Unicode encoding, the character set, the information related to what character set it is supported is one formatting information that is stored in rich text file. Okay. So you'll get the information about what character set is used or what encoding is used in the rich text file. Another formatting information that you can find is what kind of fonts are used. So basically you will be able to map the fonts that you have used in your document with the available list of fonts. Okay. So whatever your document is or your application is, whatever fonts that you have used in the document, that you will be able to map or find out, identify what are the fonts that you have used. Again, color table. That means you will be able to identify what are the set of colors that you have used in your document. So you can see here, the color table is also mapped for display by the receiving application to the nearest set of colors available to that application. So even if you are opening your document on another text editor or another application, it will be able to make out what color combinations or what colors you have, what kind of color formatting you have done in your document. So that information is also retained in RTF. Another kind of formatting information that is retained is document formatting information. That means basically indentation or layout related information. What are your paragraph intents? What is your document margin? How much margin you have set? And from where does your paragraph begin? All such information related to indentation is also retained by RTF, so that when you're opening it on a different application, your page looks similar to the original page. Okay. So the information that is retained is character set. What kind of encoding you are used, what kind of fonts you are using, what kind of color combinations you have used, what kind of indentation and margins you are using, what kind of footnotes, bookmarks, pictures. So information related to such items are also retained by RTF. So that comes under category which is called as general formatting. So information like footnotes, bookmarks, pictures, etc. is also retained. Another kind of information is what kind of text character formatting you have applied. That is whether you have made your content bold, italic, you have used underline, strike through, shadow text, hidden text, all formatting related to textual content. All those formatting will also be retained by your RTF document. Again, other formatting like if you use special characters in your document like hyphens, spaces, backslashes, all those special characters related information will also be retained by RTF. So if you're preparing an RTF document with all this with plain text with a lot of formatting, all your formatting will be retained when you open it on a different operating system or different application. Okay, that was the main objective of coming up with this file format. Microsoft's main objective of coming up with RTF, but later on it was discontinued in 2008. But you can see that it is still supported by almost all the applications that we use now. Okay, so that's about rich text format. Now RTF also has some advantages and disadvantages. One main advantage of RTF is that you can attach, you can embed, or you can attach other executable files, you can attach audio files, you can attach video files along with your text document. So it has that feature wherein it allows you to attach, embed or link other kinds of text files or binary files along with it. Now, one drawback of RTF is that certain kind of formatting information is lost. Okay, that is mainly because of the incomplete implementation of RTF file format. So certain formatting information like column related formatting information, page numbers, all that information will get lost because RTF does not basically support such formatting. Okay, that is one drawback of RTF. Another important advantage of RTF is that it restricts it contains the spread of macro viruses. Okay, you can spread viruses using normal text file. Now RTF does not support macros. You cannot define macros inside RTF. It does not support macros. So if you're making an attempt to spread viruses by encoding them in macros using an RTF document, you will fail because that will be easily identified. That is another added advantage of RTF files. Okay, so that's about this file format, textual file format called as RTF. I'll just recap it. RTF is a file format wherein it retains, along with your plain text, all the formatting information is also retained. What are different formatting information that is retained? Information about the character set, information about fonts, color, information about indentation, information about icons like pictures, bookmarks, footnotes, information about character, which is whether you're making it bold, italic, underline, all those things, whether you use special characters in your document, all this formatting information will be retained even if you move your application or document across operating systems or across different applications. Okay, so that's RTF file format. Now we have to discuss one more file format which is called as TIFF. Now TIFF is not a text format, okay? TIFF is an image file format. It is a raster image file format. You know what is meant by raster images, right? Raster graphics. What is meant by raster graphics? Anyone? You know there are two types of graphics. I think I myself have mentioned what is meant by raster graphics and what is meant by vector graphics. What is raster graphics or raster images? Images where your information is represented in terms of a grid of pixels. That is what is meant as raster graphics. So TIFF is a file format that is associated with raster graphic images, okay? And it is most popularly used in, we don't use TIFF file format. It's most popularly used in printing industry, in imaging industry. So graphic artists, printing industry, photographers and all make use of this file format, which is called as TIFF. I'll just show you a image that is stored in TIFF file format, okay? Because you might not have come across. We don't generally use images or store images in file format, TIFF file format. Can you see this image?
Yes.
This is an image that is stored in TIFF file format, okay? So I've just downloaded a sample image from So you can see here the extension of this file is .tiff. So this is a TIFF file format very commonly used in printing and in industry mainly by graphic artists and photographers and all. We'll see why they use it. So TIFF is used in very popularly in 3D applications, medical imaging, desktop publishing, printing, etc. And the reason why it's this popular in that industry is because of its quality. Okay, TIFF does not apply any compression on your image as such. Okay, so if you want to retain the quality of your image, you'll go for TIFF instead of JPG. In the case of JPG image, you know JPG compression is applied and a lot of information gets lost. Now, in the case of TIFF, even though TIFF supports compression, as such, it does not apply a compression technique. With TIFF file format, you can store your image without compression as well as with compression. Now that depends upon you, whether you want to store your image without compression or with compression. So it supports compression techniques like Huffman coding, LZW compression, Lemp-Zelwich compression. It supports compression techniques, but as such, it does not apply a compression on your image. So when you're working in these industries where you have intermediate files to store, see, if you want to come back and later on edit your file, it would be recommended that you store your file in TIFF file format because it does not apply any compression. So whatever detailing you've done in your image, that will be retained. No information gets lost when you store your files in TIFF. So in this industry, what people use TIFF format for storing their intermediate file formats. May not be their final output, but for storing their intermediate file format, intermediate files, which they are likely to edit later on, they'll be using TIFF file format. Okay. So that's why TIFF is very popular in this industry because of its quality. But one drawback of TIFF is that even if you are applying compression to TIFF, its size is very huge. If you have a file which you are compressing using TIFF, which you are storing in TIFF by applying compression and which you are storing using JPG, the TIFF file will be very large than your JPG file. So that's one drawback of TIFF file. So if you want to store a lot of image content, you may not go for TIFF file because it requires a large amount of space. But if you want to store your intermediate files and you don't want to lose your details, then you will be going for this TIFF file format. Okay. So let's see some advantages of TIFF file format. It's very widely supported format in the printing industry, universally compatible. So just like RTF, it is compatible across operating system, across architectures, across graphic hardware. Another important advantage is that it supports color depth, very high color depth. Okay, so you can have a resolution of up to 48 bits when you're using TIFF in storing your image in TIFF format. You can support a color depth of up to 48 bit, from 1 to 24 to 48 bit color depth you can support, or you can store your image with that much color depth. Again, it is much better for image scaling because it retains your information. It does not apply compression as such. It works well with almost all paint or image editing applications. It prints well as well, and it is the best format for archiving images, archiving especially intermediate files. Okay, files which you are likely to revisit again or edit again. It's a best option for archiving intermediate files. So as it has advantages, it has disadvantages also. So one disadvantage I have already mentioned. Even if you apply compression with TIFF, it will be much larger than your counterpart JPG file. So it requires huge amount of storage space. Another feature is lack of intelligence. Lack of intelligence means it is a purely graphic file format. Okay, it's an image format. So if you want to read out the text, if you want your system to automatically read out or extract the textual content, you will have to go for some optical character recognition scheme. So it is difficult to select or index text on a TIFF image that is stored using TIFF file format. If so, you'll have to go for optical character recognition. Lack of convertibility. It's quite difficult to convert from TIFF file format to other file formats. Okay, that is another drawback of TIFF file format. And another one is lack of web browser support. Okay, if you attempt to view a TIFF file on web browsers, you may not be able to do that. So these are some drawbacks of TIFF file format. Okay, so TIFF is a raster image file format, a file format that is used for storing raster images. And one important advantage of TIFF is that it does not apply any compression technique as such, even though it is compatible or it supports different compression techniques. Okay, now let's see a little bit about how the layout of a TIFF file is. Okay, see, a TIFF file has 3 sections. When you're storing an image using a TIFF file format, the extension will be .tiff or .tiff. And there will be 3 sections in your file. One is the image header, image file header designated as IFH, image file directory designated as IFD, and the bitmap data. Bitmap data means your actual image, whatever your actual image content is, which you are storing, your pixel data. That is what is meant by bitmap. So your TIFF file will have these 3 sections: a header, a image file directory, and a bitmap data. These are the 3 sections in your TIFF file. Okay. Now every TIFF file will have only one header. Okay, but it may have multiple IFDs and multiple bitmap data. That means every image that you are storing, every image will have an IFD of its own. So within a TIFF file, you can have numerous subfiles. What do you mean by subfile? IFD, an image file directory plus its bitmap data. Together, they are referred to as a subfile. So within a TIFF file, you can have numerous subfiles. That means you will be able to store numerous images. If you are storing numerous images, that means every image will have an image file directory of its own. So the architecture or the arrangement of your TIFF file can be in any of these 3 ways. See here, you can see that this is a TIFF file. Okay, this is a TIFF file. This is also, all these 3 figures correspond to a TIFF file. They are basically 3 different kinds of arrangement. So you can see that every file has only one header. There's only one header for every file. But a file can store information related to many images. So you can see there are 0, 1, etc., n images. You can store bitmap data of n images. And if you are storing bitmap data of n images, then there will be that many image file directories. Okay. So IFD 0 corresponds to image 0. IFD corresponds to 1 corresponds to image 1. IFD 2 will correspond to image 2. And IFD n will correspond to image n. So for every image, it will have an associated image file directory. So you can either arrange it like this, or you can keep it like this. You can interleave it like this. This is the image file directory of image 0 followed by image 0. Image file directory of image 1 followed by image 1. So this is actually the bitmap data. All these are the bitmap data. IFD means its corresponding image file directory. Or you can arrange it like this. You can keep the images together followed by the image file directories. Okay. These are 3 different ways in which you can represent a TIFF file. So all you have to understand is that every TIFF file can have 3 sections. One is the header file. The other is the image file directory. And the third one is the bitmap data. Okay. A TIFF file can have these 3 sections, and together this is referred to as a subfile. So a TIFF file can have numerous subfiles, but it will have only one header. So let's now have a look at what is there in the header, what is there in the image file directory, and what is there in bitmap data. Bitmap data you already know. Bitmap data means your actually grid of pixels, all information related to your pixel, the pixel values. That grid is what is referred to as bitmap data. But you do not know what is there in the header and IFD, right? So let's see what is there in IFD and what is there in header. So this is actually a TIFF file. Okay, this is a TIFF file. This entire diagram corresponds to a TIFF file. This section is the header part. This is the IFD part. And this is your bitmap data. Okay, so this is a TIFF file which has 3 sections. This is the header part, this is the image file directory part, and this is your actual image data or bitmap data. So you can see here, your header part has 3 types of information. Byte order or identifier, it is also called as an identifier, okay? Version number and first IFD offset. That means if your file has 3 images, this first IFD offset corresponds to the details of your first image. So all your tags related to your first image, that will be there in IFD 0. So this is IFD 0. This is, suppose your file has 3 images, okay? That means there will be 3 image file directories, right? IFD 0, IFD 1 and IFD 2. So this corresponds to all tag information related to image 0. This is tag information related to image 1 and this is tag information related to image 2. Just assume that there are only 3 images in your 3 subfiles in your TIFF file. Now let's see what is meant by byte order or identifier. Okay, when you're storing this information, you can store it in 2 different formats. Okay, you can store it in Intel format or using Motorola format. Okay, it is called Intel format is also referred to as little endian format, and Motorola format is also referred to as big endian format. It means basically if you are arranging your information from MSB to LSB, it is referred to as big endian format. If you are arranging your bits from LSB to MSB, it is called as little endian format. So little endian format is also referred to as Intel format, and big endian format is referred to as Motorola format. So whether your information, your bits, is arranged in little endian format or Motorola format, that is what is meant by this first point, that is byte order. So byte order or identifier means whether your data in the TIFF file is written in little endian format or in big endian format. So if, excuse me, just a minute. Okay. Are you able to follow what I'm saying? Yes? Okay. So that is what is meant by identifier or byte order. Okay. Byte order or identifier means the same thing. They mean what kind of format you are using for storing the information in the TIFF file. Whether it is written from LSB to MSB, that means your bits are ordered from LSB to MSB or MSB to LSB. LSB to MSB, it is called as little endian or Intel format, and MSB to LSB format is called as big endian or Motorola format. So if it is little endian format, then you will have this number in the byte order field. If it is Motorola format, then you will be having this number in the byte order field. Okay, so the byte order field lets you identify what format you are using or what format the TIFF file is using. That's the first thing in the header. The second thing is the version number of TIFF. Okay, so irrespective of what version is being used, that field will always have the value 42 in it. Okay, so 42 is the version number of TIFF. Irrespective of what TIFF version you are using, that field always has the value 42 in it. That's the second field in your header. And the third field is your first IFD offset. That means where you have stored the first image file directory. The offset value that will tell you where you have stored the image file directory corresponding to image 0. Corresponding to your first image, there is an image file directory, right? Where it is stored. The offset value corresponds to that IFD. So this will give you the IFD where the image file directory of image 0 is stored. So you can see here. Now this image file directory, it's like a linked list. This image file directory will tell you where the next image file directory, where the image file directory of image 1 is stored. Now again, this is telling you where the image file directory of image 2 is stored. So basically it's like a linked list. One image file directory will tell you where the next image file directory is. Okay. So the header contains the byte order information, version number, and the offset value of the first image file directory. Okay. So you got what is there in the header, right? Now let's try to understand what is there in the image file directory. Okay. So this is how an image file directory looks. You saw this, right? The same thing. This component we have separated here. So this is an image file directory. So you can see here there is something called as tag entry count, tag 0, tag 1, etc., etc., tag n, and next IFD offset. So next IFD offset, you know, it means where the image file directory of your next image is stored. That is image file directory offset. Now what are these tags? Tags means it's a kind of metadata, okay? So every image file directory will contain numerous tags or data structures which are referred to as tag. And every tag is 12 byte, okay? This header which you store, the first 12 bytes, sorry, the first 8 bytes correspond to the header, okay? In your TIFF file, the first 8 bytes correspond to the header information. Now, within the image file directory, you can store tags and each tag is of 12 bytes. So here you can see, suppose this has 3 tags, information related to 3 tags stored. Then you can see that each tag is of 12 bytes. So there is something called as tag entry count. Suppose I'm storing 3 tags here. Then I'll have a tag entry count 3 here, which takes up to 2 bytes. Then you have each individual tag which can take up to 12 bytes. So every tag field is of 12 bytes, okay? It's a 12 byte record which gives you some kind of metadata related to your image. So it might be, so your tag could be some information like the height of your image, okay? So the tag could be some information like height of your image, width of your image, or color depth of your image, some information, some metadata related to your image. That is what will be there in tags, okay? So tags are normally kept contiguous. So if you have 10 tags corresponding to your image, 10 information, metadata related to your image, they will be in continuous locations. And you can classify tags into 2 categories, public tags and private tags. Public tag means which are the predefined ones, okay? And private tags are the user-defined ones. If you want to store some metadata, user-defined metadata related to your image, you can always declare private tags, okay? So that is the structure of an image file directory. So you can store metadata related to your image in the form of tags. So these tags could be public or private. Private means user defined. And there's a field which will give you the number of tags that you have stored in the that is there in the image file directory. And every image file directory will also point to where the next image file directory is. So that's the content of an image file directory. Now one more thing about you have to understand is the structure of a tag. Okay, what is there inside the tag? Inside the tag you will have something called as tag ID. So this is the structure. This is how your tag will look like. Okay, so inside the tag you will have something called as tag ID, which tells you what kind of tag it is, whether it is about the height of the image, width of the image, or it is about the color combinations in the image, or it is about some other feature. It will tell you what kind of tag it is. Then you have the data type. Whatever data types you have stored as tags, the data type of those items, okay? The scalar type of the data items. Data count, the number of items in the tag data. So whatever information you're storing in the data, the number of items that you have stored as tag data, and the data offset. That means where from in the image data, where is that data? Basically, it is a reference to that image data. Data offset means it's basically just like you have a IFD offset here, you will have in the tag, within the tag, you have a data offset. That means that your tag will be referring to some information in the image, right? The offset value of that data that is there in this data offset. So every tag will contain these information. The first thing is tag ID, which will help you identify what kind of information is there, whether it is about height, width, whether it is about pixel, whether it is about encoding, whether it is about color, all that you can identify from the tag ID. Then It has another field called as the data type, which will tell you what is the data type of the information which is there inside the tag. Data count, that means how many number of items your tag has referenced, okay, within the image. And data offset, it's again a 4-byte field that contains the offset location of the actual tag data within the TIFF file. Okay, so this is what is there in every tag. So we have seen the structure of the entire TIFF file, right? So this is the structure of the header file. So in header, we know that we have the byte order, which will tell you whether it is Intel format or Motorola format. Then we have the version number, which is always 42. Then we have the offset value of the first IFD, right? This is our first IFD. Now what is there in every IFD? In every IFD, the first field is the number of tags, correct? In every IFD, basically they are the same image, okay? In every IFD, what is the first content? It is the tag entry count, right? This is the same image, just another way of drawing the image. So the first content in your IFD is the number of tags. Then you will have tag 0, tag 1, tag 2, etc., tag n, right? Within every tag, what all content you have? You will have a tag ID, you will have the data type, you will have the count or length of the items. Tag count, data count and length are the same, okay? So the third entry is the data count, and then you have the offset value of that tag. So you can have n number of tags within an image file directory. And the last entry in the image file directory is the offset value of the next image file directory, right? So this is the structure of a TIFF file. So a TIFF file has 3 parts: header part, image file directory, which contains all the tag information, and then you have the actual bitmap data. Got it? Understood the architecture of a TIFF file, the logical organization of a TIFF file? Yes?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
okay. I know this is the third session of the day, but we have no other option. So there are 3 probable university questions that you can expect from this section. One question can be a general question like explain text file formats. So then you can mention about doc, RTF, PDF, TXT, all those file formats. Okay, it could be a general question like this, or you can get a question like write a short note on RTF, or write a short note on TIFF, or you can get a question like explain the file organization of TIFF. In that case, you will have to demonstrate your answer with a diagram like this, either this diagram or this diagram. Okay, both are the same, just 2 different ways of representing the same thing. Got it? Any doubts in this topic? Actually, TIFF is an image file format. Okay, it's not a text file format, but in your syllabus, in the first half of your second module, this file format is mentioned. I don't know why they have mentioned TIFF within this section, because clearly they have differentiated the first part as related to text and the second part as related to images. So TIFF should actually come in the second part of your second module, but in the syllabus after RTF they have mentioned TIFF. So I have explained it here, but understand that TIFF is not a text file format. Okay, TIFF is a raster image file format. So in your image you can also have textual data, and in case if you have textual data in your image, you want to read it out, you will have to use an optical character recognition scheme. There's no other way. You cannot directly index the textual content, because TIFF is a pure raster image file format, a pure graphic format. It's not a text format. Okay.